Bluesboyjag here, 4-string cigar box guitar with massive distortion. I'm running this through a Cube 10GX, and man, this overdrive on this amp is simply amazing. Here's 1 string, 2 strings, 3, and 4. Add a little bit of reverb and voila, you're ready to go. So this is an interesting tuning. I've done maybe 2 or 3 videos with this particular tuning. It's FCFC. So you got your A string tuned down to F, C, which is your normal D string, and another F, and another F. FCFC. F, and that's an A string normally, tuned down to F, and then a C, so that's a D string tuned down to C, and another F, and another C. So that's an A string normally, and a D string, and then I've got a G string and a B string. But those are not how it's tuned. FCFC. And I'm using the Roland Cube 10GX amplifier, which has a lot of distortion options on it. I'm only at about 35% distortion, believe it or not. One thing I like to do with all this distortion, it's really easy to get those pinch harmonics. So what I'm doing is using the side of my thumb right here, the bottom side of my thumb, and partially I'm using the thumbnail here. And if you do it in the right spot and you do an up strum, you get all those harmonics, which are everywhere. And with all this distortion, there's super heavy harmonics, and they're super everywhere, which means notes that you normally would not get a harmonic from, you can get a harmonic from, because I've got all this distortion. Normally you wouldn't even hear that one, but because of all the distortion, there you go. And there's a good example of it right there. I'm using my pick. If you look real close, I'm not playing on the tip of the pick. Normally this would be how you would hold the pick, but in this circumstance I'm holding it like this, so the first finger kind of peeks out behind my thumb there, and I'm doing an up strum. And it pulls out those harmonics. Especially on the top 2 strings. I'm also using the first finger just a little bit on the strings. That gives you even more harmonics. I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but you get harmonics all the way down the string here. And what I'm doing is pinching between my first finger and the pick. Kind of hard to see because I'm only exposing a tiny little bit of the pick here, and that's how I'm getting these pinch harmonics. Pinch harmonicas. That'd be kind of cool. So the first finger is touching the string, but the pick is also touching the string. And if you get it just right, you can get all those harmonics. So let's see. I'm doing an up strum, and basically I'm touching the string with the tip of my finger, with the flesh, my first finger, but I'm also touching the string with the pick at the same time, and I'm doing an up strum. Sounds like a wah-wah pedal. There's no song here necessarily. I'm just kind of showing you what you can do with a whole bunch of distortion. So this is really not necessarily much of a lesson. It's really, if you put massive distortion on and you use the pick and you do some pinch harmonics, you can get some really cool overtone. Some people, what they do is they have a heavy distortion pedal when they play a gig, and then when they get to the heavy part, they stomp on it, and when they get to the softer parts of the song, maybe where someone is singing, then they turn off the massive distortion. They have, you know, some other pedal maybe for the normal distortion, and then they have something else for the over-the-top crazy super orange squeezer, whatever the heck you call it, distortion. So you can get different variations that way. The other cool thing is you can play super simple licks and riffs. So right now I'm playing all the strings, and I got my first finger only on the first string, 3rd fret. Then I'm jumping to the 2nd and then the 3rd. So that first finger is doing all the work. 1st string, 3rd fret, 2nd and 3rd. Of course I can do the 4th if I want as well. So let's come up with a pretty cool riff here. And that's just a big old bend on that 4th string, 5th fret. I'm using 2 fingers to bend it. With these light gauge strings, you can really bend the heck out of them. 10GX really is getting all the glory here, the Cube 10GX, because the distortion is only, what, 40% in, and I got the volume pretty far down. It's not really massive distortion. It does have the third level of distortion, but the amount of distortion is less than 50%. So it shows you just how grungy you can get with a little amp like this. $100. Man, I've been talking about this for years on this channel. It's the Cube 10GX, and it's the Boss, and made by the Roland Company. They've got a whole bunch of different Cube amps that have been released over the years. And this one, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago was when it was released. It's been discontinued long ago, but you can still get plenty of them online, and I highly recommend it. Check out my video I put up last week. I did a video where I'm playing the guitar through this Cube 10GX, and I'm going into my 1965 Princeton Reverb. I don't have any effects on the Princeton at all. I'm using all the effects, and I played a gig at the local bar a week or so ago with that setup, and it sounded absolutely amazing. And I'm just going directly out of the Cube into a 1965, a real 1965 Fender, and the tone is absolutely amazing. So check out, if you get a chance, the Cube, and definitely check out the one that I've got right here, which is the Cube 10GX. It's got the COSM, C-O-S-M, which is what they call their, I don't know, I guess it's their sound system for the different various tones you get out of these amps. But experiment with your amps, experiment with your effects, and of course experiment with different models of guitars. I've got some old cigar box guitars that back in the day I made, and I was still learning how to do it, and they had some flaws, so I haven't played them in years. Well, I've dusted those off over the years, and I've hooked them up, put some new strings on them, and maybe some different tuning, maybe some heavier strings, maybe some lighter strings, and voila, it's a whole new guitar. And I can use it for specific styles of music now, whereas I couldn't play them before because it just didn't sound that great, or it would go out of tune, or whatever. So you just never know what you're going to get with these things. You can pull them out of the mothballs, you know, and plug them in, and voila, it's a whole new ballgame. Anyhow, enough of that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your support for sure, and keep those cards and letters coming. I'm getting a lot of requests and questions, and that's all good, so thanks for that. And check out my website, bluesboyjag.com, cigar box guitars just like this one. And we'll see you next time.